Hello there, and welcome to the Stay Off My Lawn podcast, where we'll have a little fun, lots of laughs, and discussions on the common sense that needs to be applied to a lot of today's world news issues. And now, the disclaimer. Stay Off My Lawn is not intended as legal, medical, or financial advice. Void where prohibited. No purchase necessary to win. Open to legal U.S. residents 18 or over in the contiguous 48 states. Any resemblance to anyone living or deceased is purely coincidental. Actual price may vary. Only use as directed. Not a member of FDIC. And now, here are your hosts, Mike and Richard.
Okay, welcome to this week's edition of Stay Off My Lawn. It's November 7th. Is that right? Unbelievable.
Holy smokes, already?
2023. Wow. It's episode 42. So, well, anyway, I guess.
That's what I told you, so you're going, okay.
I guess
I can tell you it's 98. You'd go, okay.
Yeah, it's November 98th, 2023. So anyway, how was your weekend? What'd you end up doing this weekend?
I had company. I was trying to relax, and I was going to set on my keister. Actually, I didn't do a whole lot Saturday, and then Sunday it rained all day anyway. It's been rainy and wet. So, my in-laws that went to, Wisconsin to, see a new grandbaby she was there to help, while it was being born. They came back through. They have a little small fifth wheel that they went across the country. And so they came back and, the two sisters, my wife and her don't see each other very often. They live close to the coast in Oregon, and we're here. So as they're going through, they just stop and we'll go out to eat. This time they were here for 2 days. They paid for one meal. We paid for the other. They're okay. They're pretty easy going as far as guests go.
Yeah.
I did get to grow mushrooms on Sunday, as the wife calls it, when I spend too much time in my favorite, recliner.
Growing mushrooms.
Have you moved in the last 3 hours? I went, 3 hours? No, I think it's been closer to 4.
My back gets sore if I do that. Gosh. I don't know why that is.
So I just kind of lounge and watch football. So we didn't do much of that on Sunday. So
I've got a 30 amp hookup for a camper, and so I was like, I keep thinking, so whenever somebody says, "Hey, I can come and hook up to the camper," well, it stopped working, and
you're so welcoming. Anybody?
I know.
Oh well, I guess the big news is, and I guess that's part of the weekend on a Friday afternoon, I suppose. My granddaughter who fosters kitten, I had because my cats are a bunch of floozies and they get busy all the time. Anyway. They're barn cats who are like, ooh la la.
We got nothing else to do, so come on, get over here.
Anyhow, I had a kitten that was having some issues, and she said, I'll take it. All right. So I got it put in a box, blah, 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 and took it. And she met up where I was meeting with a friend. And while she was there visiting, she asked me to officiate at her wedding, as I did for her little sister's wedding a couple years ago. So I will be doing hers in about a year. So I am very honored that my granddaughters still talk to and tolerate their old grandpa. Yes, Grandpa, did you hear me when I yeah, no, it's not quite that bad yet. But
and these two young whippersnappers want to get hitched, so here we go. And God bless you. Get the heck out of here.
So I'm feeling very blessed with that. So all in all, it was a wonderful weekend. This Friday, we're gonna go. Our other friends, the four of us go out to whoever's birthday it is. Somebody picks a spot, and that's where we go have dinner for their birthday. So we're having prime rib at Bob's Steakhouse over in the big town of Nyssa. That's all of about, it might be a population of 1,200, maybe. But Bob's is awesome.
You know, it almost sounds like a place you wouldn't want to go.
Well, let's go over to Bob's. Oh, Bob, he's been flipping burgers and steaks for a couple of years now, and
but it's sort of like Steve's Insurance. You don't want to go to some place that's named after the owner, I guess. But I don't know.
No, it's the town is quite old. The restaurant has the original old wood floors in it. It's like an old, like a diner thing forever, but it's all been spiffed up. New booths has been redone, and the walls, and it's a very, it's nice. It ain't like going to $100 a plate prime rib steakhouse, but it tastes just as good, and my taste buds can't see, so I don't care.
That reminds me, we started watching the old Frasier from 1991. We started because they came out with a new one, and that's actually pretty good. It has nobody except for Frasier from the old show, but we started watching the old one, and him and Niles went to a steakhouse that his dad liked. Of course, his dad is one of the salt of the earth old cop guys. It's like, so he wanted to go to this steakhouse, like sort of like what you're describing, and they're sitting there and they're going, "Well, it's steak, we should be fine with this." And they're sitting there in all the suit and everything, and they're like going, "Ugh." They were just so used to the fancy stuff and the $100 plate, like you described it.
Yeah, I delivered to a place that's what it is it's $100 a plate, and if you get any drinks for two people to come out of there, you're lucky if you come out of it like $2.25 for the two of you.
Yeah, see, I've never been to a
and
place
it's supposed
like
to be really good and one of the best, and the waitresses and waiters are the gentleman who owns it is very particular. We are going to be a top-notch place, and you will treat our guests that way. It's got blue lights around all their stuff in the bar area and whatever.
It's going to have to be a pretty big occasion, something that, maybe my 50th anniversary or something, and something I'll never live till. So, I mean, that'll be my goal. Oh, well.
Yeah. I just wants to say I've been there. Well, yes, I've been to that.
We've got
Handlers.
Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, which is south of us, is always a big joke. It's like, well, where are you going out to dinner today? Ruth's Chris? It's like, no, we don't go to Ruth's Chris. I don't know how much that is. I think it's about like that. It's like $75 and everything's a la carte. So you get the steak and then you have to pay extra for the potato and the broccoli or whatever you end up getting with it.
I buy the steaks and marinate them and put them on my grill myself, and they're delicious.
Because they're cooked correctly when you do it. So,
and the meat comes from the Idaho area. It's Albertsons, and our little meat shop that's at the little grocery store is always one of the best.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think when you do it yourself, I totally agree. I think that's always better. Well, anyway, let's hit this really quick and get it out of the way for today's episode. It's on the Israeli-Gaza war. Here is Ben Shapiro, arguably one of the smartest guys when it comes to history, especially. And he's at that Q&A format. I think if you ever watched any of his videos on YouTube, he does that. He stands up there and people come up to the microphone and ask him questions. And this lady was dressed like a Muslim female or whatever, that with the whole thing over her head.
Yeah.
So anyway, she, I guess, went through his big, long tirade of why Gaza should be its own country, and it is its own country. But anyway, she was making an argument that Israel is terrible. So anyway, this was his response. It's 2 minutes worth, but it's very, very good. He kind of gives you a lot of history. I sent it to my men's group too, because a lot of us don't understand the history, and he obviously does. So
hold on. I listened to your whole history for like 5 minutes here, so at least let me respond to it. Your entire claim is that the Arabs did not reject peace, and then in your own disquisition, you admitted that the Arabs rejected the Peel Commission plan, which was a separation between the Jews and the Arabs, which gave an extraordinary amount of land to the Arabs. The Arabs then rejected the peace partition plan proposed by the United Nations in 1947. They then proceeded to reject the Oslo Accords in 93. After that, they rejected the Wye River Accords in 98. They rejected Ehud Barak's very generous offer in 2000. They rejected Olmert's very generous offer in 2008. Every single peace deal that has been proposed by Israel or anyone else has been rejected by the Arabs for a very simple reason, which was the very first question I asked you. You do not accept that there should be a Jewish state anywhere in this region. So as long as that's the case, there's literally nothing to argue about. You cannot simultaneously maintain the position there should not be a Jewish state anywhere in the region and then tell me that I'm wrong when I say that the Arabs will not accept a two-state solution. You yourself say that there should not be a two-state solution. If, based on the numbers, more Germans died than Brits in World War II, did that mean that the British were wrong in World War II? Because they did. Many more Germans died than Brits. Based on the numbers, does that mean that Britain was wrong in World War II?
Britain wasn't bombing civilians.
Which part of Israel is occupied Palestine?
All of Israel?
There we go. So what you're calling for is the obliteration of the state of Israel, and all of this is just a cover for that. I appreciate your time. think tonight we've seen some evidence of people obscuring some clear moral differentiation between the targeted burning of babies in their homes in front of their mothers by shoving them in an oven and people attempting to kill terrorists who are themselves putting civilians in harm's way in violation of the rules of war and the Geneva Conventions. And if you're one of the people who's making this sort of moral equivalence, I ask for you to check your own heart. And if you're one of the people who's watching people make this moral equivalence and being convinced by the supposed complexity of the issue, I ask for you to check your brain.
Mm. He knows his history, and that's really the thing. I mean, they don't want an Israel state to be there. I think I just posted today on my Instagram about the map of the Arab world and how big Israel is compared to all the land. And it's a tiny, minuscule amount.
It's a dot. It's a pin dot compared to everything that's around it.
And they just don't want Israel to exist. And
no.
You know, God had said this in the Old Testament many, many times that you're going to run up against this. People are going to hate you. And it's always come out to be true. It's been that way for a long, long time.
And I hate that our propaganda machine, which is supposed to be journalistic news, is not. All they want to do is, Israel bombed a hospital. Really? Oh, you mean because of all the rocket launchers that were in the parking lot and at the base of the hospital and at a school? Why would they bomb those places? Oh, that's right. Because Hamas uses their people as human shields and could care less if they died.
It's the epitome of cowardice to stand behind civilians.
Well, what they did to the Jewish people that were at this rave or whatever you want to.
It was like a rave,
type thing. They were out just having a good time. There was no need for what what they did was completely against the Geneva Convention and is, turn it all to dust. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's like, that's how you're going to do with others.
Unfortunately, the Geneva Convention just doesn't hold a lot of. I mean, the Hague's not going to come down and bring anybody to court. It's just not going to happen.
Well, and they know that, and they don't care. Exactly. Look at all the Hamas protesters that were in the streets of D.C. Do you think the D.C. police and the mayor and that did anything? No. Defaced all of the American statues and all that downtown. Why? There was no need to do all that. Put Hamas headgear on statues? No. Flags and all that and spray paint all over crap? No.
You see a lot of that on college campuses too. I mean, it's
colleges. Some of these campuses, and you brought that up. I'm on a roll. When you see all this stuff going on, they are losing now millions. Especially Harvard had somebody that goes, "We are not donating any more money. $50 million a year." They pulled their funds immediately. Oh, wow. 2 or 3 others. There was another school in Pennsylvania that was getting 20 some odd million from some donator, and they went, "Not anymore. It's not happening. This is the kind of stuff you're doing and putting out." Nope. And so the money will talk. That will change things when all of a sudden,
I hope you're right, because the indoctrination of these young people, I mean, unfortunately, when you're young, you get influenced very easily. And it's hard to blame them necessarily. But I mean, this has been part of the plan for a long time. I mean, it started with the Russians back in the 50s and 60s. And
yes, we've had that on. Yeah. I think, we were talking about maybe next week we'll have him bring that back up again.
I think we should. It's about 5 minutes worth, and but it's this ex-KGB agent is what we're talking about that was being interviewed. I think it was in the late 70s, and he kind of lays out the plan of the Soviet Union, how to infiltrate the minds of young people here in the U.S. and it's brilliant.
What they've been doing.
And
he said it back in the 60s, and you know what? That's exactly what's being done.
Yep, it sure is. And when you dig down deep enough into the message of the Palestinian leadership, the old phrase from Golda Meir holds true. She said back in, it had to be in the 70s or 80s, she said that if Arabs put down their guns, there will be no more fighting. If Israelis put down their guns, there'll be no more Israel. So there you go. I think that there's no truer. She was very, very smart. So this is only the beginning, folks. Unfortunately, we try to keep things light here, but this is not going away anytime soon.
No.
But on a lighter note, Uncle Joe has given multiple warnings to anyone who would attack Israel. So much so that Saturday Night Live, which is so great, they actually, the Weekend Update, those two guys that are on there, I don't know if you ever seen these two guys. It's a white guy and a black guy, and they write liners for each other to say. They write stories for each other to say, totally racist things for each other to say. And it's actual comedy, and it's really, really good. So anyway, this is one of the guys that hosted this clip. It's really good here.
In what many people are calling a high point of his term, President Biden gave multiple speeches this week in which he issued the same strong warning to anyone thinking about attacking Israel. And here was his message.
Don't.
I won't. I really like that Biden only needs one word to get his point across. He's basically the Groot of presidents. But to give you an idea of how effective don't is, it's the same thing Biden says to his dog right before it bites another Secret Service agent.
Oh my gosh. And of course, with Joe.
But my focus is just stay focused.
So anyway, he's always got that. Well, anyway, so I like that Saturday Night Live is actually going after some of the dumb stuff that's been going on. When we come back, we're going to look a little bit more into the weakness that Joe Biden puts out for this administration and our country, and how it might be affecting our foreign policy or just our foreign relationships with other countries. So anyway, hang in there. We'll be right back.
Here's another fake AI celebrity endorsement.
This is Greta Thunberg, and this is the Stay Off My Lawn podcast.
Born from the tragedy of 9/11, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation carries out its mission to do good by providing mortgage-free homes to Gold Star and fallen first responder families with young children, and by building specially adapted smart homes for catastrophically injured veterans and first responders. They are also committed to eradicating veteran homelessness and helping America to never forget September 11th, 2001. And according to Charity Navigator, 95 cents out of every dollar donated goes directly to these programs. $11 a month is all they ask for to help these real-life American heroes. Visit T2T.org to find out more. That's T2T.org. All right, welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn, segment 2, and we're talking about Uncle Joe. And the projection of weakness from a country's leadership can be very dangerous. I think everybody can agree with that, especially when that country is us. Supposed to be the leader of the free world. And Biden not only looks and acts like a frail old man, his actions, or the actions of his handlers, confirm that. The rest of the world, you kind of wonder how they view things. I mean, that was a lot of talk when Trump was president. That's how everybody's viewing us. They're just, the orange man is bad.
They didn't. And as it turns out, that was just propaganda, because when these other leaders, they're saying bring Trump back. Because
some of them didn't like it, like the one in Germany. Gosh, I can't think of her name. The one that's not in office anymore.
She's not in office anymore.
Angela Merkel. Yeah, she didn't like him because he was strong.
Yes.
Yeah.
The rest of the other Germans thought he was wonderful.
Exactly.
The guy in Hungary goes, "No, bring him back. We like him." It's like, okay.
Yes. Viktor Orban. Yeah.
So yeah, just all the BS and the propaganda that was put out was.
Well, I just came across this week. It's a clip from a political talk show in New Zealand, and it's pretty interesting.
Where do you see this ending?
Well, it's a real concern. And I was particularly concerned the other night when I saw Joe Biden at his press conference in Jerusalem, because that guy didn't know where he was. He didn't know what he was talking about. And he gave the distinct impression that America is clueless. You know, he had cards in his hands. He was mumbling I assume he was reading them, but he was mumbling away, and he just left the message for the world to see that America does not have a leader. And let's face facts. If Trump had been president of the United States, this wouldn't have happened. Russia wouldn't be in Ukraine, and the Palestinians, the Hamas, wouldn't have attacked Israel. What we have in the White House is weakness. And everybody knows it. Everybody knows it, and they're taking advantage of it. And that's the thing that could lead to an international conflict, because they see an opportunity, and they just might take it.
There is a geopolitical realignment going on because of America's weakness.
Yep, no doubt. But that's how other countries...
They might take advantage of it. How about they did take and are taking advantage of it? China just keeps pushing on Taiwan, and it gets to be more and more activity. But funny how our news media doesn't want to mention that.
No. But I believe that could happen any day. I think the whole Taiwan thing could happen any day. And the thing is, they have to be careful with Taiwan because there's so much infrastructure that makes all these chips and all the things that are there. So they can't just go in to level it because there's a lot of money to be made from taking over that. And of course, China, with their economy, they want to make money. Totally understandable. Senator Tom Cotton, one of my favorites. Now, he has disappointed me on occasion. He voted for the Build Back Better, unfortunately, and that got under my skin, and I didn't even want to hear from him for a while. But I don't. He's never explained what that was about. But in every other aspect, he's been right on point. And we call out everybody on this show. So I mean, that was my one thing with Tom Cotton. But he made a speech the other day encapsulating. That's easy for me to say.
That's easy to say. Oh, yes. This is...
I spelled it wrong.
It takes a while to encapsulate all the issues that Uncle Joe's been involved with.
Yeah, just the last 3 years. He summed it up very nicely, and here he is.
This is partly a pretext to try to conceal the utter failures of Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. And that's to say nothing about what's happened around the world. The collapse of Afghanistan in 2021, Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, the worst massacre of Jews since the Holocaust in 2023, all under Joe Biden's watch. We have record high inflation. People can't afford their groceries. They can't afford gas. They can't pay the rent, can't make car payments. The young men and women we have sitting behind us can barely walk to their apartments on Capitol Hill at night without worried about being mugged or drive there without fear of being carjacked because of your insane criminal justice policies. Our border is totally open. Each year under Joe Biden has seen more illegal border crossings than the last, setting record after record after record. These are not all poor, struggling migrant workers from Guatemala coming here for a better life. Thousands of people from China and Russia. Even the administration has acknowledged over 100 Uzbeks came here with the help of an ISIS-associated facilitator in Turkey. And their position is, honestly, maybe it's just a coincidence that these Uzbeks used a travel agent associated with ISIS. I know the Democrats on this committee like to claim that the former president unleashed chaos in the world. None of that happened on Donald Trump's watch. Maybe he offended your European friends for using the wrong fork, tea and crumpets at some point. But there's peace and stability when he was president. So part of this is just a pretext to cover up for your own utter failings and incompetence of the Biden administration. But it's more than just that. It's not, as Senator Whitehouse says, an effort to expose wrongdoing at the Supreme Court. It's an effort to delegitimize the Supreme Court because you don't like the way they rule. When you lose at the ballot box for years, you tried to achieve in courts what you couldn't achieve through democratic elections and legislatures. You thought the Supreme Court was your own special province. And then, when there became a center-right majority on the Supreme Court, you began to attack its very foundations. Chuck Schumer has gone to the steps of the Supreme Court and threatened justices by name that they wouldn't know what hit them if they ruled in ways that the Democratic Party didn't like. In May of 2022, the unprecedented action of leaking the Supreme Court decision in the Dobbs case occurred, unleashing left-wing street militias outside of justices' homes. Justice Alito, the author of that opinion, says that he thinks he knows who it was, and he thinks it was done on purpose to assassinate a Supreme Court justice to stop the Dobbs decision from coming down. Merrick Garland did nothing to stop these left-wing street militias as they blatantly violated federal law, protesting outside the homes of justices about a pending matter. In fact, he directed the Marshal Service to make no arrests. He lied about it to Congress, exposed by Senator Britt from Alabama. It all culminated where it naturally was, with a left-wing hitman traveling from California to the capital region. Even after that left-wing hitman was caught outside Justice Kavanaugh's home, the White House continued to refuse to enforce the law, indeed, to celebrate these left-wing street militias. The White House spokeswoman even said, "We certainly do continue to encourage that," the protests, "outside Judge's home. That's the president's position." You all ought to be ashamed of yourself, because you're the ones who always profess how you're defending our democracy. You're the ones undermining our democracy. As Senator Graham said, things are going to be different here starting next Thursday. But not just that, the shoe will be on the other foot one day. Go ahead, issue this subpoena. See what happens when we take back the majority. See which subpoenas we start to issue for the left-wing activists and billionaires who are behind all of your agitprop campaigns, who probably help fund those left-wing street militias outside justices' homes, who help fund the anti-Semitic wing of the Democratic Party protesting on college campuses and even in this Capitol complex. Go ahead, issue your subpoena next week. We'll see what happens when we take back the majority.
He said it very well.
Yeah, I think I was up to 17 items.
I saw you were counting as he was going.
I was kind of as he had. Okay, that's another one. That's another issue. That's just thing after thing after thing, and they kept saying all they were doing was making bitching about Trump because they didn't like him because he didn't play their game. Yeah. He was not someone there that was a good old boy that the rhinos could just slap on the back and knew that they could do whatever the hell they wanted, and it ain't going over. And rhinos across the country are being voted out in droves.
Yeah. That's good. We need to get rid of these so-called Republicans and get them out of office because they're not helping anything. All they're doing is just look at the guy that ran for president from Utah. I can't even think of his name, but he votes with the Democrats almost 90% of the time. Seemingly, it's like he doesn't have any a shred of conservatism in him if he ever had it to begin with.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just think that we have to. We do have to vote these people out. Get out there and vote. I think there is a vote today, as a matter of fact, on the 2nd, the 7th today on Tuesday. There is some kind of vote all over the country for local elections. Those are just as important, people. I mean,
well, local and governor elections.
Oh, is there governor too? Okay,
I think there are some governors that are up. The one gentleman in Louisiana that just won Republican vote. Won with like 52% of the vote. The next closest person to gain votes was only like 22%.
Oh, wow.
So they normally have runoffs down there. Yeah. There was nothing to run off. People said, no, we've had enough.
Yeah.
This is not working. The liberal stuff is making what's a bad situation worse. So,
and I just saw, I'm going to have the hard numbers for us next week, but I did see some poll numbers where a lot of these purple states, these swing states that everybody talks about, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Trump is, even though he's been indicted 4 times with 91 charges and it looks like he's facing jail time eventually, his numbers keep climbing. And Joe Biden's numbers keep going down. And we'll talk about this next week too, that Biden, I think the re-election campaign for Biden has already spent $25 million in ad campaigns. I've seen ads. I see them every night when we watch TV. Saying how much better the country is. It's like, really? What country are you in?
How many things has he gotten up in front of? Oh, when I took over the country, it was in bad shape. The hell? And people are going, what have you been smoking? Even Democrats are going, no. CNN was doing a thing, a man on the street interviewing people in New York, figuring that's going to be safe. It wasn't. So what do you have to say about Joe Biden? Did you vote for him the last time? The gal went, yes, I voted for him. And he goes, and this time she goes, I was just about to say that, no, I would not vote for him again, period.
Wow.
This has been some of the worst economy and lawlessness and everything else that's going on is just, these are people in New York who are waking up. That's a hardcore group to shake.
But again, like Mayor Adams, and we're gonna have that clip later on, that they are seeing it firsthand, the failures at the border and how things are affecting, especially places in Texas that the media doesn't like to cover. But New York is starting to see the fruits of all that crap that they're pulling down there. And I think it's all going to blow up in their face. I hope the country doesn't go with it, because if it starts getting much worse, then it may be beyond the point. And maybe I'm just being cynical, but and just negative. But I mean, we could be at the point of no return, considering how our debt is over $34 trillion. I mean, how much higher can it go? I don't know.
Well, don't say that, because I think the Democrats are saying, here, hold my beer, I'll show you. Because it's like, are you kidding me? Stop borrowing money to give to another country. We don't have it, let alone we can't afford to pay the interest on it, for crying out loud. It's going to come to a head. Stuff's got to happen. I think we're about to have a huge blow up in the housing market, is just about to be as bad or worse than it was in 2006, I think it was. Last time around.
I think 07, something like that, yeah.
Even in our market here, which is a boom market, they're lowering prices because nobody's buying homes anymore. They quit because interest rates went so damn high, they stopped.
Well, the price of, Georgia used to have some of the best prices for housing in the country. And the prices here have kind of gone up exponentially. So we're not a deal anymore. Everybody is paying $300,000 for kind of a starter home anymore. And it's like, that's crazy talk here. I mean, anyway. I was going to play one more clip, but actually we're up against a break. So we come back.
We're right there at it.
Yeah, we come back. We're going to talk about the smoking gun that James Comer, Representative James Comer, came out with, and his talk about that. Poor Uncle Joe, he's in such trouble. So anyway, we'll talk about that when we come back. Hang in there.
Here's another fake AI celebrity endorsement.
This is Arnold Schwarzenegger, and this is the Stay Off My Lawn podcast.
They are our love bugs and companions. They are our pets, our family, and they make life better. When we face unexpected challenges, so do our pets. That's why we're on a mission to support people and their pets. Whether donating a bag of kibble, sharing an Instagram post of a lost cat, or welcoming a foster pet into your home, every bit of kindness counts. Visit petsandpeopletogether.org to learn how to be a helper in your community. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
All right, welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn, segment 3, and we're past halftime, and the band has marched off the field, and here we go. There's another smoking gun, and the House Oversight Committee uncovered about poor Uncle Joe. Gosh, he just can't get out of his own way lately. At this point, though, it isn't even about the lies that he likes to tell, because everybody knows that's kind of his thing. Even when he had all 8 cylinders getting spark, I mean, he was still telling lies. That's the best way I could put that, I guess. So he's probably a 4-cylinder with a turbo doesn't work. But anyway, So he loves to tell these lies, but actually we're seeing some tangible evidence of this corruption that he always claims that there, you deny, eventually it goes
I know
away.
nothing about what my son's doing other than the checks that are going into my bank account. I know nothing.
I know nothing. Please, just go away. Anyway, James Comer, Representative James Comer from Kentucky, he came out with this clip explaining what they found.
Remember when Joe Biden told the American people that his son didn't make any money in China?
Son has not made money in terms of this thing about, what are you talking about, China?
Well, not only did he lie about his son Hunter making money in China, but it also turns out that $40,000 in laundered China money landed in Joe Biden's bank account in the form of a personal check. And the Oversight Committee has it. First, Northern International Capital, a Chinese company associated with CEFC, wired $5 million to Hudson West 3, a joint venture established by Hunter Biden and a CEFC associate. Then Hudson West 3 sent $400,000 to an entity owned and controlled by Hunter Biden. Next, Hunter Biden wired $150,000 to Lion Hall Group, a company owned by James and Sarah Biden. Sarah Biden then withdrew $50,000 in cash from Lion Hall Group. Later the same day, she deposited it into her and James Biden's personal checking account. A few days later, Sarah Biden cut a check to Joe Biden for $40,000. The memo line of the check said loan repayment. The House Oversight Committee will continue to follow the money and hold President Biden accountable for his corruption.
With loan repayment.
There's also, by the way, they also have a $200,000 check.
Oh yeah. There's more to come. This is
oh yeah.
But wait, there's more. But yeah, he's the thing about, excuse me, with loan repayments is that there's always an origination. They have not found any origination of a $40,000 loan.
There's nothing anywhere.
So yeah, I think that we're seeing some actual real things come to light. And you and I were talking off the air. I truly believe that Joe is going to step aside and let somebody else take the helm for the 2024 election. I may be wrong, but I think that this is all going to bubble up to the point that where he's not going to have much of a choice, because they know polling data right now, and they love polls, which those of us on our side have seen polls be totally wrong. So I don't put a whole lot of faith in polls, but the polls are not favoring them whatsoever. So
no, not in any shape or form. And there's also the matter of 20 shell companies. And we're not talking Shell Oil, but a phony little company will put some money in on this side and it'll come back out on that side, and then it'll come back in the side of my pocket.
That's right. LLCs. Yes, they like that.
And why would you need 20 of those?
Well,
there's usually only one reason to have shell companies.
I want to know, though, that originated with $5 million leaving China, and it ended up with $40,000 to the big guy. So, I mean, 400, because it was always 10% for the big guy. So there's 400,000. What happened to the other $4.5 million? Where did that get absorbed from? I think that ought to be looked at.
There's a lot of people with sticky hands that were putting their fingers in the old candy pot, if you will.
I may not be good at mathing, but that doesn't math for me.
Yes, right. I'm with you. It's like, wow, he didn't get a whole lot for all of that influence and that he did. And Hunter was able to buy all kinds of blow with that. Or I mean, candy, whatever it was that he uses, blow pops.
It's for energy. He works out a lot, and he just needs to do. Yeah, he obviously, he works. He's got hookers helping him work out. He's got a lot of people in his influence, his realm of influence. But anyway, Elon Musk was recently interviewed on Joe Rogan's podcast and had a lot to say about how he found Twitter, or X they want to call it now, when he got there. And this is what he had to say.
Twitter was simply an arm of the government, was not well understood by the public. And it was whatever the official government, I mean, it was like Pravda, basically. It's a state publication is the way to think of old Twitter. It's a state publication.
And was the justification from their perspective that they are progressive liberals, they have the right intentions, it's important that they stay in power, the progressive liberals stay in government and power, because this is their...
There was basically oppression of any views that would even, I would say, be considered middle of the road. But certainly anything on the right. I'm not talking about like far right. I'm just talking mildly right. The people like Republicans were suppressed at 10 times the rate of Democrats. Now that's because old Twitter was fundamentally controlled by the far left. It was like completely controlled by the far left.
Yeah. It's not a surprise to all of us now, but
what a shock.
Yeah. But I mean, but there were a lot of people that were saying that was misinformation, that, social media doesn't get influenced by the federal government. That's crazy talk. That is Pravda stuff. And if any of you out there don't know what Pravda is, that was the official newspaper of Moscow back during the Soviet Union, and it only contained mostly propaganda. It had nothing to do with news. It was all about promotion.
Well, our newspapers aren't any different now. If you can find a newspaper, they aren't any different now. The New York Times is so full of propaganda, it just reeks.
Washington Post, LA Times,
anything that's on news. I don't even watch our local news anymore.
No,
I quit watching that years ago because it's like, no, you're just parroting what somebody sent you to say. So why waste my time watching it?
No, I agree. And you're right. We talked about that last week. They get the copy and pasted message from the head oligarchs in charge and said, this is what you need to say on you. And they put them, the smart people out there put all these clips together. So we know word for word that it's exactly what
36 different stations on propaganda about getting the jab. And then you had another potload of stations recently on stuff they were all saying as soon as Mike Johnson became Speaker of the House. All of a sudden, we'd never heard of him. Boy, you hear about him now. How horrible law. He's a constitutionalist, and they don't like that.
No, because that's
them and those guys.
They don't like the Constitution because it limits what they can do. I really believe that's a lot of what it is. Elon was also alarmed at the way these extremists think, especially on the religion, and I truly believe it's a religion, of climate change. And this is what he had to say about that.
It's almost like a death cult.
It's a death cult. No, that is exactly right. It's essentially the extinctionists. Like, it's in the limit. It is that they're propagating the extinction of humanity and civilization. And there's some people who are like most of the time it's implicit. They don't but sometimes it's explicit. Like there was a guy on the front page of the New York Times who literally has the thing called the extinctionist movement, and he was quoted on the front page of the New York Times as saying, "There are 8 billion people in the world, but it would be better if there were none." Ooh. And I'm like, well, buddy, you can start with yourself.
Exactly. Why not start with yourself? Just, the walk of a million miles starts with one step. Let's start with you.
Here, you can help our problem out.
Elon gets it, man. I don't agree with everything he says, but he gets it, and especially being originally an immigrant and seeing things from that fresh perspective. He used to be kind of a liberal guy. When he got here, he kind of bought into that whole thing, and he's truly changed his mind. A lot of people have changed their mind. Matt Taibbi, who was part of this whole thing, and Michael Schellenberger and all those guys. Yeah.
And it's funny how someone who was a liberal and then they get to looking at actual facts and seeing what's going on, because I've told you I watch MSN most every night. I didn't feel like looking at it last night, but I will see how they're doing stuff, and other news sources that are not TV, radio, any of that stuff, where there's filming of things going and you can see it firsthand. And then what MSN reports is like, that's not even what the story was about. It's amazing how they twist, flip, and change what's actually taking place and leave out and lying by omission, if you will. There's tons of that. Just not, conveniently that's not part of it. It gets real old, and I want to see our House members start doing something. I'm tired of all the blah 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 blah. Great, you found all this. You're telling us how all the bad stuff is. You're doing nothing. Quit telling me about it if you're not going to do something about it.
I was talking to Barbara about that the other day, because they were the House Oversight and the Senate Judiciary Committee has been doing these great sound clips. I mean, these interviews that are hard, and they're calling people out, and it's like people like the Homeland Security Director and everybody else. It's like, it sounds great. And yes, I want to hear that, but at the same time, there's no teeth to any of that. You know, they can call out these people all they want, but if you've got the DOJ and the FBI and everybody that's in the back pocket of whoever is sitting in the White House, then what good does it do? It really doesn't do any good. You're blowing a lot of smoke, and you're getting people, and maybe eventually that means elections might change. But as of right now, it's like, you know, we hear a lot of stuff. It's like protests. You know, you might get out there, you might get people's attention, but at the end of the day, I just want to get past the traffic. You know, I mean, just get out of the way.
The trees and stuff, and the things that are going on, and what it says in our Constitution. And they were not real fans of Mr. Johnson reading actual, this is article subsection B of the articles of the Constitution. And they're like, what? We don't read that stuff. What are you reading that for? Because it's the law. Hello.
And they lose sight of that. When they take their oath of office, they just hear that as words. They don't actually consider the Constitution being part of it. I truly believe that. I think at least a lot of the people like AOC, I mean, they're not there to uphold the Constitution. They might say that, but that's not what they do at all.
No, it's very evident.
Well, speaking of people having an awakening, New York City Mayor Eric Adams, Mr. Sanctuary City himself, is starting to see things a little more clearly. Here's what he had to say recently.
And let me tell you something, New Yorkers. Never in my life have I had a problem that I did not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City. We're getting 10,000 migrants a month. One time we were just getting Venezuela. Now we're getting Ecuador. Now we're getting Russian speaking coming through Mexico. Now we're getting people from all over the globe have made their minds up that they're going to come through the southern part of the border and come into New York City. And everyone is saying it's New York City's problem. Every community in this city is going to be impacted. We got a $12 billion deficit that we're going to have to cut. Every service in this city is going to be impacted. So as you asked me a question about migrants, tell me what role you played. How many of you organized to stop what they're doing to us? It's going to come to your neighborhoods. All of us are going to be impacted by this. I said it last year when we had 15,000. I'm telling you now, with 110,000, the city we knew we're about to lose.
I saw another speech of his. He actually mentioned, and maybe he did in this one, I missed it, but he mentioned El Paso, which is a little bit different than what, you know, they normally don't consider anything that that Texas has gone through with all these immigrants and all these illegal migrants. Let's put it that way.
What about Arizona and all the stuff that's going through there, and the crooked governor that's in that position now? That is just what a crock. But it's he's complaining about 10,000 a month out of 8 million in the last 3 years. 10,000 a month is nothing.
It's nothing. You're right. Well, the Heritage Foundation reported on the numbers coming out of D.C. on the border crisis, and this is something you will not hear on the mainstream media. So this is about a minute long.
What's worse than a Friday night news dump? A Saturday news dump. That's why the Biden administration finally reported its September border numbers 3 weeks late. In September, CBP encountered over 341,000 inadmissible aliens nationwide, beating their August record of over 304,000. September closed out the federal government's fiscal year, during which over 3.2 million inadmissible aliens were encountered, beating fiscal year 2022's record of over 2.7 million. To put that in perspective, that's about the size of the entire population of Nevada. The grand total of encountered inadmissible aliens while Joe Biden has been in the White House is over 7.6 million. Add to that number another 1.6 million known gotaways or illegal aliens who purposely evaded the Border Patrol. A new leaked memo from CBP's San Diego Field Office Intelligence Division warns of potential encounters with terrorists from Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and Hezbollah. America cannot manage more numbers of aliens, no matter where they're from, and we certainly do not need more terror threats.
Well, there you go. I mean, if you don't want the mainstream media to cover whatever the bad news is that's coming out, you dump it on Saturday, I guess.
Yeah, and that way nobody's watching or paying attention. It'll just kind of flow through.
Everybody's busy with their kids' football games and or just
Soccer matches.
Yeah. So,
basketball now is the time of year.
well, anyway, we're up against a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about these anti-Second Amendment whack jobs that we have in this country, and there's plenty of them.
Don't mince words, please.
I'm trying to be PC. Am I not working? Is it not working?
It's hard to laugh at some of this crap today. There just isn't any yucca in here at all.
There's not a lot of fun. But, I mean, what are you going to do? We're laughing anyway. It's not about anything in particular. But anyway, when we come back, we'll talk about this. This next one's going to make you laugh. I promise. So hang in there.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
I'm going to hold you to that, bucko.
You do that.
Here's another fake AI celebrity endorsement.
This is Joe Biden, and this is a Stay Off My Lawn podcast.
Wow, look at Brianna do that backflip. Oh, when did she learn that?
Just this week. She's been working hard at it. I hear Jordan made the junior high cross country team.
Yes, he ran every morning for 3 months.
Oh, that's great. Hey, Liz, what's Eric doing right now?
Well, he just passed the 7th level of Halo. He spends all day glued to his video game. Isn't that great?
Oh, yeah.
Get your kids out doing something, anything. For help, visit intermountainlive.org. Intermountain Healthcare, healing for life.
All right, welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn, segment 4. Hang in there, you're going to be all right. Just
yay! It's almost breakfast time for me. Oh,
make sure your seats are in the upright position and put the tray tables up. And we're almost in for a landing. So anyway, the ignorance of people when it comes to guns is astounding. Best word I can come up with. Lots of people are calling for bans of assault weapons. Totally made up word again. Assault weapons. I've heard supposedly smart people who are anti-Second Amendment try to define what an assault weapon is, and they can't do it. Because
AR does not stand for assault rifle. That's the name of the company that made it in the 40s.
Yep, Armalite. And that's another thing, too, that we'll talk about her in a minute, Gretchen Carlson. She said that, nobody before, it was 2004, had an AR-15. It's like, that ain't true at all. But anyway.
No, they've been around a long time, people.
Here's the geniuses from The View, first of all, on how a bullet of from an AR-15 works. Now, that's a 223, folks. Google it and see if you agree with what Miss Joy Behar has to say.
Sarah didn't get a chance to weigh in on the topic of what happened in Maine and AR-15s.
Yeah, I would love to see an assault weapons ban. Like President Reagan, I don't believe they're a sport or hunting instrument. It's like shooting fish in a bucket, but that's my
But
take.
also, if you shoot with an AR-15, let's say you shoot a deer, you can't eat it. Because you basically demolish
In addition to that, but the hunt is about...
You demolish the animal.
What idiots! It's a tiny little shell. It's not going to... If you're going to use that to hunt deer with, you better be a real good, accurate shot at a very vulnerable spot because it ain't going to drop them. People, when I go deer and elk hunting, I use a 30-06, which also was a rifle that was used in the wars. And you get hit with an .6 shell, there ain't a lot of you going to be left.
Well, and that may be true, but when it comes to a 223 or 5.56 or whatever, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't explode you. I heard Joe Biden say, but I looked for this clip and I think they've scrubbed it, but Joe Biden said that if you got shot with an AR-15, they hate that rifle because it looks militaristic. And I get it. It looks like it's a scary gun. But he had said something about, well, it doesn't just kind of go through your lung. It blows up your lungs when it hits you in the chest. I'm like, where do you get this? This is the
again. Let's
science.
Lie and make it real big. And well, the president said it. It must be true. And people are now going, the president said it. Yeah, right. Whatever.
I believe in the science, right? Sure.
It's like, no, it doesn't blow anything up. It's a small shell. And
I know. They don't want
it's just the ignorance that people living in a cement jungle don't have a clue in hell, don't know how it works.
But most of us in America do not live in this. Well, I can't say most of us don't live in the cities, but most of us who don't live in the cities or have no desire to live in the cities, most of us knows how all that works. I mean, I know I don't have an AR-15, but I know several people that do, and none of them have shot anybody. Just to kind of put that out there, my two guns have never shot anybody. Anyway,
mine are in the setting where they need to be put away, and funny thing, they've never hurt a person.
You know, and since this whole Maine shooting, and this has come up before, even with Republicans, they'll talk about the red flag laws. If you're not sure what a red flag law is, if you think that your neighbor or whoever, that one of the people you work with or whatever might be acting crazy, and you know they have guns, you can call and they will come and take their guns away and maybe get them psychologically evaluated or whatever. And they, from the surface, that sounds almost reasonable, but think about it this way: what if you have a neighbor
Niet, comrade, we won't do that here. Niet.
I mean, yeah, we've all had these people that are like, well, he probably shouldn't have a gun because he's a whack job. And so I kind of get that way of thinking, but you got to think, what if you got a neighbor you don't agree with or you don't get along with? They could just pick up the phone and have somebody come over and take your guns away because they say that you've been saying some crazy things, or even an ex-boyfriend or a spouse or whatever. Being evaluated by people also. People who are in these psychologists or whatever, what if they don't agree politically with you? And during the questioning and everything, they decide, well, yeah, he shouldn't have a gun. I mean, he's a right-wing extremist. And really, anybody middle of the road now is considered right-wing extremist.
Anybody that doesn't believe the way I do, why, they're nuts.
Yeah. I personally, and this is just me, I believe that that's too much power to be handed over. Like you just alluded to, it's a KGB type, heavy-handed type thing. We don't want to
give for ratting on neighbor. We will take care of it.
Exactly. And once you hand that power over, you never get it back. So anyway, that's my rant for that. And Richard and I totally agree on this. I can get why you might think that's a good idea, but you need to think about it deeper. It just doesn't. It will not work the way you think it will. But speaking of not thinking deeper, Gretchen Carlson, the former morning host on Fox and Friends, has gone full on woke. She's tweeted right after the mass shooting in Maine. She said that ordinary people didn't have AR-15s before 2004. They're not some time-honored American tradition. They're a recent mistake that we could fix and save thousands of lives in the process. Unquote.
Thousands? We've had thousands of lives killed with AR-15. I would like that count to be done. So not only is she wrong on how long the armament rifle has been around, but she's also wrong about thousands killed when they shouldn't have been. What a crock of bullshit.
She's
sorry.
She said that she's smart. I mean, I have to believe her. If she says she's smart, I mean, goodness, nobody would lie about that, right? She didn't. She later posted this video about her remark after it was called out.
So you might have seen the news story about my tweet regarding Ben Shapiro and his love of AR-15s. Big round of applause for the clever detectives who pointed out that technically a few ranchers and animal control people did own these guns before 2004. And since we're all big fans of math, here are more numbers that seem relevant. In 1992, AR-15s composed roughly 21 in every 100 firearms made in the U.S. By 2020, almost 1 in 5 guns made here were AR-15s. There are now more than 20 million AR-15s in people's closets and cabinets.
No, I'm no math wizard, but 1/5 and 21 out of 100 is the same number. It's been 40-something years since my last algebra class, but that's what happened.
And that's all the propaganda that she's putting forth is why I don't watch any network news, Fox or otherwise. People always, what do you watch? Oh, Fox? What, do you watch all CNN? No, neither is anybody else. Their last weekend reported viewership was only 55,000 for the whole weekend. There's podcasts that get more than that in one day, let alone a whole weekend.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean,
they're done. Well, they just moved out from
from Atlanta.
Atlanta. They no longer have the building. They couldn't afford it because
that was their only building when they first started. That was a Ted Turner thing. I mean, that was
their world headquarters, and it was full of people at one point in time. Not no more. They're back in their original little one-horse studio, is my understanding.
I don't know. I assumed that the New York studio was still open, but I don't know. I never thought that, because that's a big complex. I don't know if you've been to Atlanta.
Oh yeah,
before,
no, I've seen the pictures and how large it is. It's huge. It's like quite a compound.
It's like a mall at the bottom part of it. It's like, there's stores and restaurants and all kinds of stuff. I mean, I just can't imagine what they're going to do with that building, but whatever.
Well, that's what's going to be killing banks real shortly as well.
Yeah.
Is commercial real estate's going down the toilet.
Isn't that something? Jeez. Well, anyway, if you're not familiar with James Carville, I'll give you this little bit of background.
He has less hair than you.
He does, and that's great for you to point that out for me.
That's for getting me earlier when we did our promo. That'll learn you.
But you got me back because I was on the wrong number.
Okay. So I guess that now makes me ahead.
I owe you now. I owe you. He was the lead strategist in Bill Clinton's winning 1992 presidential campaign, which was really his only golden moment there. Carville also had a principal role in crafting strategy of three unsuccessful Democratic Party presidential contenders, including Massachusetts Senator John Kerry in 2004, Senator Hillary Clinton in 2008, and Colorado Senator Michael Bennet, who I've never heard of him, his campaign for the Democratic Party presidential nomination in 2020. All of them have failed, and I rarely agree with anything James Carville has to say. He's got a very annoying voice, unlike the golden tones that you hear from Richard and I. But
yes, mine is so smooth, Southern style.
Exactly. He recently said that the Western far left, I can't believe he said this, is habitually the most stupid, naive people that you can imagine. He's also spoken of his concerns about Uncle Joe going forward in this CNN interview. This is very good.
Polls seem to get at the elephant in the room when it comes to President Biden. For voters, it's his age that they're concerned about, his mental acuity, his health. What does that tell us?
Well, I guess to say the least, the polls are were not great, and it tells us that voters are expressing some apprehension here. It's pretty clear. I mean, there's not much else you can say when you look at them. I mean, I guess the best thing you could say is that if anything, they're worse for Trump. But there is apprehension out there. That's undeniable. You can't look at this and not say that you're concerned. It's just, for me to come on television and say, I don't find this alarming or troubling at all would be stupid of me. I mean, I wouldn't do that. I'm sure the White House knows this, by the way. And they don't need to be told that, the president has an age problem.
They try to blame it on age, but it goes.
Well, James Carville himself is starting to sound like his gums is getting loose and his teeth aren't fitting right, and he sounds like one of your Southern character voices. I haven't heard him speak in quite a while, but it is not eloquent as it used to be.
He's a raging Cajun. He's from down near New Orleans, so like I said, I hardly ever agree with him, but he's totally correct. He's got an age problem, but he's also got a cognitive problem. He's got foreign policy
problems.
Yeah, I mean, everything he's done he's got I got a friend of mine that always says it's got a reverse King Midas type thing. It's like, if you remember King Midas, everything he touched turned to gold. He's got the reverse of that. Everything he touches turns to not even a shiny turd. It's just a turd.
It looks like when Scar took over the Pride Lands, if you will. It's not any different.
That's exactly right. Hey, you know what we need now? We need a palate cleanser. And
yeah, my mouth is down. I need something good.
I need some Listerine or what you've got a palate cleanser for us. Explain to us what we're going to hear.
Okay, this is now I have to stop and think about it.
What was that? I just did that yesterday. What was it?
I did it. I put it up. It's there. There we go. I've got it. The name of it is and I meant to put that up earlier. It's called Dancing in Life's Rain. It's from Positive Thought, daily good news that I get on a daily basis. It's from their Challenge Yourself Every Day. They have several different deals that you can get. And it's got that old quote that says, life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. And that's a quote from Vivian Green. So kind of what it is. And it's like, is that what's getting you down, Bunky? Well, just, keep going on and don't give up and don't let all this crap news and stuff that's happening in the world get you down. This is a positive piece to boost you up a little and get you heading to the next day.
Well, good. So enjoy this, and we're going to do more of this with Richard. I think these are great. So here we go.
Oh, well, thank you. This is from the site Positive Thought Daily Good News, from their section Challenge Yourself Every Day. The title is Dancing in Life's Rain. Life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. That quote's from Vivian Green. In a quaint town tucked away between mountains, I found myself stranded due to an unexpected landslide. While travelers bemoaned the delay, I took a stroll around. I came across an old man gently skimming stones on a serene lake. Watching those stones gracefully skip, bounce, and then sink, I saw life's paradox. Life isn't about avoiding the skips and bounces, it's about going with them, just like that stone going with the flow of its trajectory. Many years ago, I was eagerly preparing for a significant job interview when I received a call that it had been canceled. Disheartened, I felt as if the world had turned against me. But in that newfound free time, I stumbled upon an opportunity that set me on an even better career path. It was then that I realized that what we often perceive as a disruption, an obstacle, or even a tragedy can often be life gently nudging us in a direction we hadn't yet considered. Fighting against those nudges only amplifies our pain and blinds us to new avenues. Each time I found myself resisting life's turns, I felt a gnawing discontent, a feeling of being trapped in a riptide. But the times when I've simply let go, trusted the currents, and allowed life to take its course, I've often ended up on shores I never even knew existed. Much like a leaf drifting in the wind, sometimes it's our resistance that keeps us from finding our destined path. I urge you to consider this. While we may not have control over the events that befall us, we do have control over how we respond. Acceptance is not about surrendering or giving up, but about recognizing that every situation, no matter how grim, holds within it a lesson, an opportunity, and a new perspective. To accept it is to find clarity amidst the chaos, to see the silver lining in the stormiest of clouds. I've danced in the rain and mourned missed opportunities, but every challenge has been a teacher in disguise. The mountains I once cursed for the unexpected delay, I now cherish for the wisdom they bestowed upon me. Embrace the unpredictability of life, for it's in those unforeseen moments that we truly find ourselves. So, when you find yourself at a crossroads, burdened by the weight of the unknown, remember that stone skimming the lake. Go with the flow. Trust the journey and find solace in acceptance. You'll soon discover that life, with all its twists and turns, is a beautiful dance waiting to be danced. Life has an uncanny way of throwing curveballs when we least expect it, doesn't it? But here's a thought. What if those unexpected twists are not obstacles, but signposts pointing us towards growth and self-discovery? I've seen countless people, just like you, face challenges head-on. And do you know what sets the truly resilient apart? It's not the absence of adversity, but their perspective towards it. Embrace life's unpredictabilities not as disruptions, but as opportunities. Opportunities to learn, to pivot, and to uncover strength you didn't even know you possessed. Each time life nudges you off course, remember you have a choice. A choice to resist and stay anchored in discomfort, or to accept and sail gracefully towards new horizons. While the world around us may be turbulent and ever-changing, your inner compass, that core of self-belief and perspective, is within your control. Let it guide you, steer you, and remind you that the waves that challenge us are the same ones that propel us forward. Navigate them with grace, trust in your journey, and remember, it's not about avoiding the storm, but learning to dance in the rain.
Well, that was really good. Richard, thank you very much. We're going to task you to do that. I'll send you a check, I promise, to do more of those. They're very good.
They do take a while to produce when you're reading them. They're 5-minute spots, I know, but it's not much different than a Paul Harvey. Rest of the story is usually pretty close to 5 as well. But
don't try to catch
I do
check.
like them. This positive stuff is really nice. And this one just screamed at me, said, I need to be recorded. Okay, so I produced it, put music in, the whole shoot match, and here it is.
It sounded great. Like I said, that's as good as any Paul Harvey thing we've listened to. So it's very good.
Well, thank you for the kind words, sir.
Well, we hope you were somewhat informed and had fun a little bit. I mean, I know it's been a lot of bad news today, like we did. Don't forget, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Ah, yes, and our wonderful website of stayoffmylawn.us for all our past and present episodes.
We will see you next week, folks. Hang in there.
Toodles, thanks for coming. Well, we had fun and hope you did too. The opinions heard here today are not those of anyone other than Mike and Richard. If it made you laugh or go, or even, then we've done our job. Sort of. Well, mostly anyway. And if we made you think about things in a common sense manner, we welcome you to the club. And if it didn't, then just stay off my lawn. See you next time.